So I read that you are social justice environmentalist, right?
Yeah.
And what does that mean?
What that means is that a lot of the work that I have done has been to protect our environment that is in much need of attention today. And actually, with COVID-19, you can see how pollution has been reduced. We have find a different way of living. So yeah, I have worked a lot on creating local green jobs, renewable energy, for example. So that's what I have done.
I just heard a report this morning, I believe, or maybe last night, that the environment in California is clean because of most of the people off the streets. And
Yeah,
it's raining. It's been raining. So it really helped the environment a little bit.
yeah, absolutely. Yesterday actually was a record day for lower pollution in Los Angeles.
Right.
Los Angeles has the worst air pollution in the country since 1979. So yesterday was a big win, a big celebration. It was almost like Earth Day.
Amazing. One of the problems is that we have a lot of homeless people like living on the streets, and these people are drug addicts, alcoholics, murderers and rapists, and all kind, and they have all kind of illegal alien diseases and things out there, and that seems to be affecting the environment more than anything else. Do you agree to that at least?
So it depends. Greenhouse gas emissions, the majority of our CO2 emissions come from cars and from electrical plants, so gas plants, coal plants. People emissions come from overeating, for example, meat. That's where like our personal, emissions of CO2 come from. In terms of the homeless, it's interesting. In Los Angeles, 37% of the homeless are African American. And that actually really speaks about the disparity among people that can get a job and not get a job.
But they can get a job, and just that they're alcoholics and drug addicts. Most of the blacks who are homeless are alcoholics and drug addicts in California. And then the Mexicans are illegal. So that's why it's all mixed up in there like that.
That is so a big reason why people end up on the streets is because they can't afford to live in their home.
No, it's because they're drug addicts and alcoholics. Even the family members won't take them in because it's dangerous living with them or allowing them to live in your home. So their own parents, in some cases, husbands and wives and children, are throwing them out because most of them are drug addicts and alcoholics.
A lot of the unsheltered community have mental illness and they self-medicate with drugs. So it's not such a black and white, and I wish we could point it out that way, because then it would be easy. You just take everybody to rehab and boom, problem solved. But it's not like that. It's really not like that. And again, it's not a homogeneous community. It's a community that, for example, among women, a lot of them experience domestic violence and they end up on the streets.
Yeah, you're right about that. Women are very violent toward these men, and these men end up on the streets because if they fight these women back, the women falsely accuse them, so the men end up on the street. I do agree with that.
I find your commentary often very comical. I just have to make sure, because I caught myself laughing, and it's not that I'm laughing at you. It's just that your commentary can be pretty unbelievable.
In what way? What do you mean?
Well, I mean, because you make all these very black and white statements that are not even 100% accurate.
No, I've been in California. I've been in California since 1968, and I've been involved with my community and my state for the last 30 years. I work downtown. I work in the inner cities around, and it's mostly drug addicts and alcoholics and angry people. The reason that this is happening, there is something that's called environmentalist racism. Have you ever heard that term?
Yeah.
What does that mean? That's the darndest thing I ever seen.
Environmental racism refers to the idea that in order to have a healthy environment, that a healthy environment is only for certain people, and it speaks about socioeconomics, so zip code and geography. So, like for example, if you live in Los Angeles, chances are in Beverly Hills, if you have an environmental issue, it gets taken care of faster than in other communities, like like Black communities and Latino communities. Like you can see this, like for example, with refineries. Refineries are the most toxic places, and they're oftentimes so to be placed in communities where they're low income and communities of color. So that's what.
Oh, I see what you mean. So, but in Beverly Hills, and I have friends up there, Black friends, you're right about Beverly Hills, but the people up there, they have families, they are wealthy because they work hard, they take care of their communities. But in the abnormal Black communities, Blacks are having babies out of wedlock. The men around don't take care of their own homes. They don't cut the grass or paint their own home. They won't take care of. So the standard from the people are lower. So you're not going to get the same service as you would with a community that pays.
Well, it's not just about service. And like I said, it's geography, socioeconomics, gender, race, obviously it's environmental racism. But it's also the idea that a lot of corporations work together with government and say, well, where do we have areas where nobody's really watching? So nobody's going to complain if we put this big gas plant in their backyard, or if we start drilling for oil in the backyard. So communities that are less educated and less involved in the civic process oftentimes are the victims of environmental racism.
So why is it that
Beverly Hills, I have plenty of Latino friends that are millionaires,
right,
that are actually entertainment, and that's all great. But again, you can't generalize because it's just not how it is.
So why is it that, because you make a good point about some of those things, why is it that the Democrats don't want the inner cities to be as beautiful and well kept as their community that they live in? Because I notice the politicians don't live in the communities that they're supposed to represent. They will live in places like Beverly Hills, but when it comes to the environment for the inner cities, they don't give a hoop about it. Why is that? You're right about that.
I think that inner cities are in every part of any community. It doesn't matter if it's represented by a Democrat or by a Republican or by a Libertarian.
But it's mostly Democrats, though, because if you notice, California.
But Beverly Hills is also in a Democratic state.
But they have money up there, though. They really take care of each other. The Blacks and the Mexicans down in the other part.
I think you nailed it in the head.
Right.
I think that what happens in low-income communities and why you see that there is not a lot of beautification. For low-income communities, there's a lot of other factors before they can. A lot of them are renters. They don't own their homes. The second thing is that a lot of them also have to, for example, think about what kind of job can I get? I need to work first. Then it's healthcare. Then it's like there's a line of priorities before you can think about like, oh, now I'm gonna fix my home. A lot of people have inherit homes from maybe their family members. They live in fixed income. They're older, and they don't. And this also makes it hard. Now, I live in Los Angeles. I wouldn't think this is the inner city or anything like that. But there is great homeowners pride because people own their homes. And again, African Americans, Black people, Latinos don't own homes at the same rate as white people do.
If they were to do it the right way, if they were to get married, have children with a husband and wife in the home, the father worked and provided, and they treated each other and do the right thing, would they be able to own homes then? Because most of them are having babies out of wedlock.
I know you're saying that, but I don't. Look, I have like in my whole circle of friends, nobody has babies. Please send some babies in our group because we don't have any babies.
But most of them are, though. Most of the Blacks are having babies out of wedlock.
I think you are pounding on an idea of this American dream where the male works and the woman stays with the
Yes.
children. And that's impossible to obtain right now.
Why?
Harvard.
Why is that
a degree? I earn good money, and I don't have kids because I can't afford them. And that's the reality that we live in.
But because of your degree,
shouldn't be something that is because having a child should be because you want to, because it comes from out of love, because you decide that's the decision you have made, whether you're single or not. There are beautiful single parents out there doing work with their kids. Of course.
Let me ask this question. Because of your degree from Harvard and all that, and you're an educated woman, but you probably would never end up with a husband, because a man is not going to marry an educated woman because it's difficult for her to be a good wife and a mother. And when
now you nailed it. That's why I'm single.
Right. And men want wives. They don't want women who want to be like a man. They want a real woman. And educated women are not real women. They pretend to be men. Am I right?
Wrong.
I'm wrong?
Absolutely. Educated women are women that are educated, and that's it.
But they have big egos. They have big egos and
values as maybe family. I have a beautiful garden. There are very accomplished women that
I know, but they have big egos, and they're going to end up old and lonely because men don't want women. They'll have sex with them, but they wouldn't want to have children with them, and they won't want to marry educated women with big egos.